inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher, unlock the fire in you, cause real women don't bitch, no, real women don't, 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 real women don't bitch.
Hey, thank you for joining me on the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast. This is your proud host, August Crenshaw, aka Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. I am the #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs because building mental muscle is necessary in order to implement successful business strategies. This show has been created for the woman who is not excuse-driven and needs help building a profitable business. I will be interviewing women from various fields who are willing to break the silence on struggles that specifically affect female entrepreneurs. Welcome to a show where I and guest speakers from time to time share our methods that help us beast our business no matter what is going on in our lives. Whether you are an online or brick and mortar business owner, this show is for you. We will hit every angle, personal, professional, and spiritual. Why? Because on any given day, you get hit with shit from a scenario involving one, more, or perhaps all of the above. It all impacts you and your mindset towards your business. I have made it my personal mission to provide a space where we dive deep into the BS we face on a day-to-day basis. Hey there, guys. I am so excited about this segment and many more segments to come throughout the life of this podcast. I have conducted over 40 interviews prior to launching Real Women Don't Bitch, and I've spoken with several entrepreneurs who have given away their secrets, talked about how you properly brand yourself, mindset hacks, getting support, dealing with the change in family dynamics, all of that stuff that this show has been to talk about. I've had the privilege of interviewing several entrepreneurs. What I'm going to do is allow you to hear some of the most powerful segments that have come from some amazing summits that I have conducted. Enjoy and listen to the wisdom that is going to come from this speaker. Hey there, welcome again. This is August Crenshaw, your host for the Real Talk for Business Mastery Summit. And we have a fabulous speaker. I've had the pleasure of meeting this awesome woman online via another friend. And when I tell you, if you want to understand how to grow your business, scale your business, she is full of wisdom and expertise. I have nothing but the best on this summit, and I'm excited to have her here. So let's get started. Would you please introduce yourself and tell people exactly what you do?
Hey, my name's Jane. I work with entrepreneurs who have a gift, message, or a passion that they want to get out into the world. I help them deal with the fears, excuses, and stories that they use on a daily basis to hold themselves back. I help them show up in the world, set the world on fire with their message and their gift. And ultimately, it's all about helping them make the money that they really desire so that they can live the life that they absolutely deserve.
I love it. Perfect. Bingo. Share a little bit so people can get to know you. Talk about your journey. How did you end up being an entrepreneur? Because aren't you a millennial?
Yeah, I started my first business when I just turned 19. It came about actually because I felt pregnant at 18, but my daughter was stillborn at 32 weeks. Oh. So I felt pregnant like a couple of months later with what was going to be my son, which we didn't know at the time, obviously. I didn't kind of really want to kind of miss out on things. And I had a kind of, I didn't want to be one of those that weren't around for first days and kind of first days of school and all those types of things. So there really wasn't, I left school without any qualifications as well. So it wasn't as if kind of I had any career ideas as such.
Right.
So it was a series of things really that led me into starting my first business. It was kind of, you know, circumstances that happened at the time, and just my kind of, I think most friends would kind of say I didn't necessarily fit the norm of people around this way. You know, I always like maybe, you know, bigger ideas and slightly more ambitious than some people. So actually I just kind of fell into it is the real answer. I just kind of woke up one morning and decided to start a business, and the rest is history really. Although I moved online because I'd fallen out of love with the business that I'd created. Business I'd created was very much reliant upon kind of me working a lot of weekends. It was long hours. The whole kind of freedom that I'd wanted wasn't something that I actually ended up with. And I wasn't driven by the business in the way maybe I wanted to. I was driven in a very kind of just make more money type of way. It was just a business to make money. And so lots of people had said, you know, how I helped them and I was giving them advice and things like that. So in 2013, I actually started the Women's Business Academy. And that was very much around kind of strategy. So it was around helping women business owners with Facebook and, you know, how to get their pages to turn into customers. And it was all, you know, time management. It was a lot of the strategy type of stuff with business.
Wow, amazing. We actually have a lot in common. It's just that I was on a slower curve with you. And a lot of that, I'm certain that it has to just do with the time frame in which I was born, because I remember floppy disks, like the big 3.5. I mean, maybe you saw a picture of it on the internet. I don't know if you've ever seen it in real life, LOL. No, but seriously, I was like you. I was young. I was 19 when I had my first child, and I didn't fit the norm either. You know, I'm educated and I naturally liked school, but I could never hold down a job. Every time I would get one, I mean, literally, I would get a job, I would master it, I would get bored, and I would quit. I can count on one hand. I think there's 2 jobs that I actually was fired from, but I would just quit and I would go somewhere else. And I was young and already had that attitude. But even when I was a sophomore in high school, I noticed that I had a knack for styling hair. And so I was just doing it when I was in high school. But when I became pregnant, I was like, whoa, I want to control how I'm in my child's life. And it was a little bit more, you know, some more sentimental stuff behind it because my mother also didn't raise me. But that's what catapulted me into entrepreneurship. Now, my curve is a little slower than yours because I did run a thriving business as a hairstylist, and I did still get to go and see the programs and stuff like that at school if I felt like it. But I did the same thing you did. I would be braiding hair for hours upon hours, and I would always be working to make more and more money. And all the time I was giving women advice on their personal, their professional, and their spiritual issues. And a couple of them were even calling me their life coach. But because of where I came from, I wasn't really acclimated to that terminology. And so I didn't step into my path. And it took me walking away from my entire family and as in the form of moving to another city to get that peace of mind and that calm and that quiet and do some soul searching, because I just knew that I wasn't supposed to be doing hair anymore, because I just knew that I wasn't supposed to be working that hard. And bam, you know, here it is. And now it's like the internet. It's absolutely, it's amazing. But a lot of people think that it's a secret sauce, like it's a special formula. And I know you from interacting with you. You talk about the realities of, you know, what that looks like. You know, it does give us exposure and it does let us meet a lot of people, but there's some responsibility that comes with that. I don't care where you want to take it. Talk about what it really means to have a business online.
I think, you know, for a lot of people, they see all the freebies that are out there. I mean, if you scroll through a Facebook feed at any point of the day, you'll come across adverts that are kind of like, 7 steps to 7 figures and 6 steps to 6 figures. And, you know, I think that a lot of people download all those things and they sign up to all the webinars, and sometimes they listen to it. I mean, 9 times out of 10, they'll never implement any of the stuff. And for a lot of people, you know, for a lot of people that I work with, one of the first things when they come to work with me, you know, one of the first questions I ask them when they say they don't have enough sales is, well, are you even actually selling? And for a lot of the people, they're really not. You know, I can think about somebody I spoke to recently, and in 70 odd days, they asked for the sale once, you know. And I think it's actually, for a lot of people, it's actually putting the work in on a daily basis. You know, I think you've got kind of two camps of people. You've got the people who, you know, they download all those types of freebies, and they read through them and they implement them to a certain degree, but they're not necessarily doing the inner type of work that also goes with it, which means that doesn't work. And then I think you've got the other camp of people who, they maybe see more of the messages about positive thinking and law of attraction, and then they're thinking, well, I can just sit here and ask nicely and somebody's going to drop all these and you know, I always think that having access to the internet is an amazing thing. You know, I'm lucky to have clients all over the world, and the internet enables me to do that. But it also isn't as easy as just putting out one kind of post every now and again and saying, hey, come and work with me. You know, if you want, obviously it depends what type of business you're in, but any business requires you to show up every single day and take action. You know, I'm not a believer in kind of maybe working once or twice and then not working again. The reason I built my first business to where it was is because I took action every day. I mean, balls to the walls was my attitude to some of it. I mean, I just kind of sent emails and whatever. And I think that's probably what lacks in a lot of people, is the actual commitment to do it on a daily basis. It's really easy to sit there and say, well, I don't have time. It's really easy to sit there and say, well, I haven't got connections. But those are just excuses and objections. And for some people, they may be valid. Like, not everybody has a ton of time in the day. I mean, I built my first business with 2 kids, 11 months apart. So, I mean, I know all about time when I've currently got a 9-month-old baby as well. So,
yes.
But you've got to make time for something that you really want, you know. Even showing up on whatever platform your ideal clients hang out on for 30 minutes a day is far more beneficial than never doing it. So I think people underestimate the value of actually showing up with stuff. They underestimate the value of actually committing and making the stuff non-negotiable as well. You know, if you want sales, then you've actually got to do something to get them. You know, if you want people to see you as a leader or whatever your business is, then you've actually got to take the reins and give them something to actually follow. I think there's a lot of people that talk about the goals they want, and they'll download a lot of the freebies. The difficulty for them comes in actually actioning the stuff, and that's generally why they don't get the results they're looking for.
Absolutely. And you know, another reason why they can't implement or get the actions, because what I've noticed is a lot of times you're just getting templates.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, you can say give value. You can say tell them they need to make an investment in themselves when you read the script. However, what is the value? If you haven't identified what it is that you give to people, you can't communicate value. And when it's time to ask someone to invest in themselves, you're kind of like, yeah, you want to invest in yourself and pay for what I got? You know, you can't even say it because it's uncomfortable. And unfortunately, and I don't think that it's a bad thing. I don't think that it's a bad for people to kind of give you a template or a script, but can you translate that and make it your own? But because something key that you said was that people don't do the inner work. No. And there's inner work as far as getting rid of limiting beliefs. There's inner work as far as understanding your journey, understanding what you're doing, identifying your ideal client. You know, we can go through a whole list of how all of this relates to inner work, and it's difficult to do that. And I don't think a lot of people understand and respect the value in coaching because they're so close up on a situation that they really can't get enough perspective. And so you can opt in, and I mean, hey, a lot of you guys, you're here, you're listening and you're watching, and you've opted in and you've got those freebies. You've even said, you know what, I'm going to take it an extra step. I'm not going to do the freebies. I'm going to do the paid courses. And, you know, and you're still, unfortunately, you're still in the same spot, and it's bigger than that. And I just want to give a testimonial of my own self about how important showing up is. I understand that you need to show up. You need to have clarity. You do need to know what you're talking about. But I remember when I first started, that's literally all I was doing. I was literally just showing up because I didn't have a clue. I didn't have any guidance. I had paid for some programs and I had paid for a coach, and it was a bad situation. So I was a little nervous. It took me a second. I did end up hiring a coach again, but I still was like, okay, you know what? I need to show people my expertise. I need to give value. And I made a commitment to do Facebook Live 3 times a week. I made a commitment to post, inspirational quotes or something. And people started instant messaging me. So what exactly is it that a life coach does, or what kind of coach are you? And when that conversation comes, you don't go in and be like, oh yeah, I am. You need some help. And then overly aggressively go for the sale. So I developed some relationships. I paid attention to the conversations, and you'd be surprised how many clients you can get just from instant messaging by responding. And even recently in my group, a person asked a question, and the question was too complex to just answer in one sentence. They love my group because they get tips. And I immediately moved the conversation from the post to an instant message. So guess who has and I mean, this is literally something within the time frame of this recording that this happened within the last 72-ish hours. So guess who has a strategy session that someone paid for scheduled? You think I'm just going to do the strategy session? No, I'm going to do the strategy session. I'm going to show them my expertise. And then I'm also going in for the sale. But I'm always there in my group. I show up every day, whether the activity is what I want it to be or not. Because the numbers and stuff can play with some of you guys, it says as well. You're looking at numbers, you're looking at following. There are people that have groups with 5,000 people that ain't making a dime. They're just entertaining. There are people that have email lists that only got like 100 or 200 people on it, and they're financially free. So there's like really so much more to it than just saying I've got the internet or opting in and getting those freebies. I mean, you can take it. I know you're feeling me.
I think when you said about the whole numbers thing, it's something that I talk about a lot, is the people don't value the one. So for what I know is a lot of people that I speak to are not getting the results they're looking for. Is always, well, I was going to run that webinar, but only 10 people signed up for it, so I didn't do it. I was going to go and post that the year, but only one person liked it, so I didn't bother. And the thing that I would say is, but you should never underestimate the value of the one, because everything starts with a one person. And I think there's this real kind of tendency of people to, because they see others, with big groups, or they see others with massive mailing lists, or they see others with webinars with, hundreds of people on there, that they think, well, I'm not doing it if there's any less than that. But the big thing is, they didn't start there. They didn't start and ended up with 200 overnight. My first webinar, I had 2 people on it, and one of them was my mother, So,
I know that story.
But I did it anyway. And, I can think of countless times, countless things that I did, and maybe only one person liked it, or maybe only 2 people liked it. But I know from my personal experience that it was those 1s and 2s and 5s and 6s that grew into the 30s, 40s, and enabled me to sell out my programs. So people really do fixate on the numbers, and they think, well, I have to get the big numbers. But what they really miss out on is the fact, to get those big numbers, you've got to put in the graft. You've got to go and put in the time and the effort to get the one. So many people will say, oh, I'm not spending 30 minutes to go and speak to people in a Facebook group, because, I'm only going to get 2 conversations out of that. It's like, what else are you going to do with the 30 minutes of your time? Sit there and magically think somebody's going to come your way, You'll never underestimate the value of a conversation with somebody. All my first clients, when I came online in 2013, came from conversations that I had. They weren't from massive webinars. They weren't from, massive kind of funnels I was running. They were all from personal conversations with a one person, and that one then grew on and on. And I think numbers, people obsess over it. They're like, no, I'm not doing that. Yeah, but get a grip on yourself for 1 second, particularly if you're just starting out. You're just starting out. You've kind of got to earn the right to get those 20s and 30s and 100s, The world doesn't owe you tons of people come in and just kind of listening to your stuff. You've got to put the effort in, and you've got to show up, and you've got to engage with the one, and you've got to get into conversations, and you've got to connect to actually get all that stuff. So many people, they come from the place of, well, yeah, but I've got something to share, so everybody should want to come and listen to me. But the world doesn't owe you that. So either sit there and make excuses and say, well, I'm not doing it because it doesn't got 50 people on it, or you can understand and realize that, you know what, to get the 50 people, you've got to put some graft in to begin with, and give people something that they're going to want to follow, that they're going to want to go and tell other people to come and follow, that they're going to go and speak to people about. Because, you know, the whole kind of, oh, I'm going to run a Facebook ad and 5,000 people are going to turn up. I mean, unless you've got a massive ad budget, let's get a bit real, it isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got to value the one. Like, you've got to be willing to take 30 minutes or 60 minutes out of your day and speak to people.
Yes.
And nothing beats that, particularly when you're first starting out anyway. Obviously, if you're slightly more kind of into it, but if you're just starting out, the most powerful thing you can do on a daily basis to get yourself some clients and cash in is go and speak to people. Like, literally speak to one person every single day. Because if you speak to one person every day for 30 days, that's like 30 new people that you've met that you would never have met if you sat and waited for tons of people to come and sign up to this webinar of yours, you know? So I always, you know, if it's a client that's just starting out, a big thing for me is get out there and talk to people. I ask them to make a commitment that they go and have conversations with, sometimes we say 2, sometimes it's 3, you know, if they're really feeling kind of committed, then they'll say 6 or 7. But the idea is that they commit to speaking to a set number of people every single day, you know, and even if they only do it 5 days a week, they can end the month with 20 new people they've spoken to. And for the vast majority of my clients, they end up in some of their first sales from there. So I think instead of waiting for these big numbers, people need to get out there, connect, and value the one person, because that one is going to lead into so much more than waiting will ever do.
Absolutely. And here's the other thing too, you know, everything you do, it's affecting your reputation. And it was easier, you know, with me being, you know, a baby born in the 70s, there's a lot of stuff that I did that nobody knows. But now everything you do, it's on the record one way or another. And so think about it. If you schedule a webinar and only 15 people sign up for it and you decide not to do it, you never know out of that 15, because it's never really 100%. But out of that 15, 3 to 5 may have really had great intentions of being there. And when they go click and you don't show up, you've just tainted your reputation. And it's the reverse. When you do show up, of those 3 or 5, if that one person decides that they want to sign up, or even if they don't, if they identify with you, people talk. And they'll say, you know what, I went to this really awesome webinar. It wasn't really for me, but you should check this person out. You know, and so I think that what people don't understand is that the old school rules apply. Like, for it's, you know, with word of mouth, it's still one of the best forms of advertisement. So you get that one, and that one becomes a raving fan, and that's what adds to the energy. The other thing is well, first of all, let me say this. I've done the webinar thing, and, you know, one of the attendees was my husband. He's always been there with me since the beginning. And, you know, I'm going to tell you, I just put my game face on, and, you know, I was like, I'm going to do this webinar. Like, I've got 50 people on there. My energy was high, and I did it, and that was it. And there was nothing else after that. But I continue to keep going and keep pressing. And like you said, over time, the results show. But here's another reality that a lot of entrepreneurs don't want to face. Your genius, I'm not saying that it's not there, and I'm not saying that it hasn't worked or that it hasn't been effective, but you think you know what people want until you start working with them. And so a lot of people have stories of, I spent all this time creating this program or making this product, but when you're on the front end, your mind is telling you what people need, and people are still going to tell you what they want. And you have to understand how you infuse the two. Give them what they want and what they need simultaneously. And the only way you're going to find out is by putting yourself out there for people to start asking questions and maybe be defensive or to get really excited so that you can get a better idea of it. And not, some people, like you said, it depends on your budget, your knowledge, your following, your interactions. Some people can come out with more of a niche product faster than others, but some of you got your work cut out for you, because all you have is an idea that you don't want to work for somebody, and you have a talent. but you really don't know how to package it, and you really don't know what people want. So package it, put it out there, and don't take it personal when you get a minimal amount of response, and just tweak and fine tune and go back, and redo the plan again. This is part of the reality of entrepreneurship.
The thing with you selling things, a lot of people spend months and months and months putting a program together, and they put their heart and soul into it, and then they put it out there and nobody's interested. And one of the main things, always think of is sell them what they want and then give them what they need.
Yes.
So, for a lot of people, if you're in the expert field, what's going on for them. Like, I can look at anybody of my clients to start, and I can say, well, that's kind of got some limited beliefs, or they haven't got clarity around their message, or they're struggling with their fears, but they don't necessarily identify it in that way. So for them, they see this is happening to me on a daily basis, and this is how I see it. This is why, and this is how I want to solve. This is what I want to solve, this thing by here. Even though, for a lot of the time, the thing they fixate on being the problem, and the thing they fixate on wanting to solve isn't actually the thing that's going on for them. But there's the expert. You can see that because it's your job. It's what you do. It's your gift. It's your talent. You know what it is that's actually going on for them. But if you go out there with that, they're going to be like, well, that's not relevant to me. Like, it doesn't happen to me. Because they don't identify with it. So the whole kind of people, when they think about packaging up their things, they think of themselves, and they put them, they think of it from their kind of point of view. Whereas really it's always a case of selling them what they want. So sell them what they want, as in this is the result that they're looking for. And then once they're working with you, you give them what they need to get that result. And 9 times out of 10, when they're working with you, you'll uncover 20 other things that they didn't even know. But once they're through that gate, then that's a whole different other world. But to get them through there, you definitely got to meet them where they're at.
It was a pleasure to share this segment with you. I know there were plenty of nuggets that you walked away with to strengthen you as a business owner. If you would like to get access to the additional 35 videos with the full interview, along with a great workbook to help you refine and fine-tune and tweak your business, head on over to the website and find out how you can get the rest of the audios for the Real Talk for Business Mastery Summit interviews. Until the next segment, you guys have a great day. Thank you for joining me today. Remember to cultivate a mindset that is biased towards taking action. No bitching, whining, or complaining. Here, our mantra is, real women don't bitch, we get shit done. See you next week as I continue to bring you what you need to keep your head in the game and beast your business. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Would you like a specific topic covered? Have a question you would like answered live? Then head on over to realwomen.don't bitch podcast.com. Subscribe to my email list, hit me up, and I got you. Interested in being a guest speaker? You walk the walk? Then you can sign up on the website too. This is your #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs, Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless, signing out. Deuces!
Inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in you.